Good afternoon and welcome everyone to our fourth and last webinar of 2024 for the Strong Foundations Professional Development for Geotechnical Engineers non-technical webinar series by the CGS-YP Committee. This is the 7th webinar since we started the series last year. My name is Leonardo Paranhos. I am a graduate student at Western University based in London, Ontario. Thank you for joining us today. Some housekeeping items. If you have more questions, please enter them in the Q&A field. We have recently switched to the Teams platform, so please be patient with us while we learn the platform. If we have time at the end or towards the presentation, I will read out more questions to our speaker. And lastly, there's a LinkedIn group that you guys can join. It's called CGS Young Professionals Committee to keep up to date with our initiatives. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this webinar. Rajib Dey is a lead and senior geotechnical engineer in WSP and has over 16 years of combined experience in consulting, construction, teaching, and research in offshore and onshore geotechnical engineering. Rajib has completed many civil geotechnical projects across Canada, USA, and internationally for clients in various sectors such as municipal, provincial, federal government, oil and gas, mining, transportation, infrastructure, hydropower and dam, residential and commercial development. Dr. Dey has been an external examiner for geotechnical engineering graduate program at Memorial University since 2016. Co-supervises graduate students in Canada and abroad, mentors junior intermediate staffs for career and professional development in different company organizations, and is volunteering for many local, national, and international society and organizations. Dr. Dey has more than 25 publications in reputed geotechnical journal and conferences with more than 350 citations worldwide. Rajib was co-authored for Shallow Foundations in Permafrost, chapter in 2024 Canadian Foundation Engineering Manual, and also co-authored for CSA Technical Guide on Foundations in Permafrost 2019. He is recipient of many awards for academic excellence and leadership roles, such as Canadian Geotechnical Society Early Career Achievement Award, Employee Spotlight, Difference Maker Award, Stantec Eastern Canada Environmental Services, Chancellor Award and Fry Family Foundation Award from Memorial University of Newfoundland. Please join me in welcoming Rajib Dey.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ligo. Am I audible?
Great. So first question for you. Can you please give us a brief introduction of your journey in Canada and how was your transition from academia to industry?
So, Leo, before moving in, am I audible, loud and clear? Can you hear me?
Here.
All good? Okay, perfect. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to, CGS YP committee for giving the opportunity and inviting me for this talk. And of course, thank you for also being the host and for the nice introduction, some nice words that you mentioned. So I'm happy to hear and answer the questions that you have and the questions from the audience. So yeah, let's start with the first question that you said. Yeah, so journey in Canada. Well, my bachelor is in civil engineering. I'm originally from Bangladesh. So I did my bachelor back home and I came in Canada in 2009 in fall sessions in Memorial University. Before coming here, I had worked for a company called Orascom Telecom, which is an Egyptian company for telecom industry. They built a lot of big towers and foundations and things like that for telecom industry. So I worked almost 1.5 to 2 years and also a little bit in the design firm for residential building, where we got a little bit of hands-on experience when you're done with your bachelor, going to the ground, going to the site, seeing the contractor, how the things has been built, how the piles and all those stuffs for big tower foundations, such as say 50, 60, 70 meter tower, which are mostly founded on pile foundations on a very soft, sensitive, the soft nature of the ground, mostly clays with the high water table conditions. So those are my initial days of work before I moved to in Canada in 2009. So I got a little bit of experience in terms of, before coming here in Canada. But when I come in Canada, like I came as a grad student, as a master's student, and landed in Newfoundland. That was an interesting story, but not for today. But that attracts me to two things there. One is Memorial University down there, but there is another facility called CCORE. I'm not sure many people are aware of that. The Center for Coal Region Geotechnics and Offshore Research Center,
It has
and that's
a centrifuge and studies permafrost, right?
correct. Yeah. So they did
Mm.
a lot of physical modeling, centrifuges, offshore oil and gas, geohazard projects, and also focused a lot of remote sensing and ice engineering, a lot of cool stuff there. So during my that grad study program, I was fortunate enough to get a seat or an office, I would say, close to the principal director of that facility in that building. So, which gives me an opportunity to see that all those people coming and going most of the time doing different testings, and the director was originally from Imperial College of London, UK. So he's a tough guy, and he's one of the first student of Professor Scofield. So, and he was my co-supervisor to Professor Dr. Ann Phillips. So, and along with my original supervisor from Memorial University, Dr. Bipul Hawadar. So they're the two of them, and that was an interesting environment to work with in a coming from a different country and facing these kind of things. So the journey was mostly, as you know, the most people that start with a little bit of coursework, and you have to finish the course. You have to get some good grades so that you have to maintain your scholarship. It's minimum 80%. That's called minimum.
Mm.
I had my stats of about 95% of marks of all the grad courses, and during that time of the transition third semester, while I was probably focusing on offshore submarine slope failure due to earthquakes and stuff like that. And that was a big study that time in offshore Newfoundland going on, and I was part of that research. Uh, all of a sudden, my two supervisors came to me one day and says, "Hey, the province of Newfoundland and government of Newfoundland want to have a competitions in terms of offshore oil and gas, and they want applications and submissions from all the university students who want to participate that, and they're going to give probably 16 to 18 scholarships depending on not only engineering but the whole university, whatever the topics. It could be a psychological topics that somebody is going to offshore, but it needs to be related to offshore engineering, oil and gas facilities, and there will be few scholarship for Ph.D., few scholarship for masters and undergrad." So I said, you cannot say no to a supervisor when you come to a new country. So that's pretty much common to me. And I said, yes, okay, we'll go for and submit and work on these proposals. And we worked on that, and that eventually took a kind of a 3-4 months where I'm transitioning to my fourth semesters. I got the results that you got the award uh, for that provincial government, Newfoundland, for offshore oil and gas. That's called R&D, sorry, RDC, Research and Development Corporation of Newfoundland. So that was a good one because the monetarily that was a good chunk of money, to be honest. But your proposal is forcing you to switch to a new direction, because we submitted a proposal for main clays and how the failure propagate in the main clay, which I have no clue, because in an offshore environment, how the main clay and submarine slopes and clay and the landslide could be gigantic, like as hundreds of kilometers, and that's what the
Mm.
topics of the research. So it's a cool topics to work with, but it's a lot of challenges on the boot that you have to switch to a gear and try to get into that, right? So
Yeah.
while I'm saying this, because it's a challenge, but all we can do that, we cannot focus on the challenge. There'll be challenge coming all the time, no matter what you do. Even a classroom, when you are going to a class, there is a topics probably teacher is teaching you on a grad course. You might not know everything that he is talking. So there is also a challenge, but we need to always look into the focus on solutions. What are the solutions on the table? How can I do better? How can I improve myself so that I can be better, accommodating that challenge into my life and come up with a nice solution? And that's what I have learned over the period of time and years, that this is what we should be always looking at that. Although there is a learning curve, because you need someone to teach you and guide you. And that's why I'm here to share my story so that it might be useful for many people. And little bit of that on that story. Like my wife joined, so she joined me on that year when I was in my second year, and then she applied for PR, which gave me an opportunity to apply for NSERC. And many of you know that the eligibility criteria for NSERC, you need to be a PR or a permanent resident before you apply for that NSERC prestigious doctoral grant, right? So I'm grateful to God and of course, thankful to my wife because she got the PR so quick that I got the opportunity to apply for NSERC grant, right, for my PhD, which I received later on. So that gives me an opportunity to continue my research with more focus on, because we have a lot of money coming, but at the end of the day, when I'm switching to my PhD, I have my third supervisor joined from University of Cambridge, London, and his name is Professor Kenichi Saga. Many of you know he's one of the big shot in the world. The Michelin Saga, the critical soil mechanics book written, one of the author. So he's a big shot now he's in University of Berkeley, California. So all those things give me an opportunity to do something better. And because these people have a high expectation in terms of the deliverables, and I'll come to the point probably later on, like deliverables, we all deal with deliverables in the industry all the time, but the expectation is different. See? So because of these people, the expectation is different. So you have to dig down and make sure that you're doing something very right or confident enough to do it something before you're presenting to those people, right? Because they have a very limited amount of time to go into that and dig down. But again, you're focusing your best, you're trying your best to come up with solutions in such a way and presentable way so that it can be kind of nice to them. So long story short, during that time, of course, look into that as a journey, and I tried my best to finish that, which helped me to publishing all those papers as you just mentioned in top journals, finishing my PhDs, and also help the research group, because I was the part of the first student of that research group to develop some of the things for a lot of students down the road can do, train up few guys. As I am finishing my research, also work a little bit in the Sea Corps because of the environment, got an opportunity to work a little bit in the, I think that was a Statoil projects in Flemish Pass Basin for deep offshore development. So that was an opportunity to work on the geohazard, because that's the opportunity you see around. There are opportunities, you are jumping and trying to grab that if it comes on your way, right? So that was my little bit of academic towards ending. And of course, getting into the industry, of course, everybody when finishing your PhD, everybody wants to get into a job or academia, whatever is kind of in their, the ultimate goal. So for me, it's kind of more into sitting in the industrial environment. I was more, to be honest, more interested to see how the things are built in real field, especially with a lot of construction challenge and geotechnical uncertainty and challenges, and see how we can be a part of it, or I can be a part of it to work with the companies or those so-called industrial environment, right? So that was my transition that time, that I kind of finishes little bit work with the municipal government for a projects that time, which I kind of leading that for not fully geotech, but a little bit into the pipeline and leaks detections and their environmental problems and solutions kind of things for the water leakage and the pipe and the infrastructure problems for the cities. But then I figured out that like this is not the things that I want to do in life, right? And more into the geotech folks. So I was looking for options, and that time I got an opportunity to start working for Stantec, which was I'm talking about in November 2015 or end of 2015 actually. And parallelly both way, although I'm transitioning from my academic to industry, parallelly I'm published all the papers are publishing, or I'm getting the review comments and updating all those things and training all those things. At the same time, I was teaching a little bit in the university, teaching few courses. So that was the transition, but it gave me a lesson learning. I want to share that. So when you go for industry, why you go for industry? One thing is money. That's what probably people can call about. Everybody needs money. That's what you work for, right? So, but when I was getting the offer from a city or municipal government, and I'm getting the offer from Stantec, and I'm looking at the both offer letter. The both offer letter has a difference of 15K. And you guess what? Which one is paying less? The consulting. right? But I decided to go for consulting, and because I was thinking about more long term, not a short term gain. Everybody's
Hmm.
different. I'm just sharing my story. There's no nothing called right or
What
wrong.
made you
It's
opt
only
out
my
for the
story.
lower offer? I'm just curious. What were the other points that you considered?
That's what exactly my point was. I was thinking about more long term driven, that what exactly I can see myself from 5 to 10 years down the road, versus in a municipal government of work, what I'm going to do exactly, right? Which will be more project management and kind of bidding and things. But see, when I'm coming and doing the PhDs and dealing with those big shots and trying to make that transition, the transition also needs to be a little bit of balance in our subconscious mind, right?
Hmm.
Because what I exactly want, I want to be in the geotechnical field. I want to do these things, but am I on the right vehicle? I'm choosing the right vehicle, which can, take me to
Drive you
that
there. Hmm.
destination point. That was my more tough decision, but I choose that vehicle so that I can go towards consulting and accept the offer from Stantec rather than accepting that offer from the city.
Really interesting. Thanks for sharing, Rajib. It's an interesting story. I like hearing about your challenges in Canada. Me, myself, and I know a lot of the audience are graduate students at the moment or have recently transitioned to academia. So it's good to hear, and we can relate. So we have a next question here for you. I just wanted to remind the audience as well, if you have more questions, you can type them in the Q&A field, and we will read it out loud. So while in university, Rajib, most of our connections are likely to be with fellow students and faculty. In your experience, how can students do network beyond university?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. See, when you're coming from, especially for the international students like me, might be a lot of international students in the call, or international graduate who came from different countries and make Canada as their next destinations. We have a lot of baggages, right? Because the culture difference, because of weather, culture, and I was in Newfoundland, so think about more weather point of view, like not in Toronto, which
Extreme.
is yeah
Yeah.
extreme little bit. But at the same time, there are opportunities there too. So whenever I want to see more like as a not I'm a guy try to try to train my brain or my mind towards more solution oriented direction rather than problem oriented directions. So there are challenges, as I said. Of course, when you go to the university, we want to hang over with our fellow students coming from the same country. Of course, faculty in the classroom and things. We have limited scope there. But have you ever seen that? Is there any open options or opportunity where I can do beyond that? So I always was open and keen to see those directions, which helped me to find out. Of course, there are a lot of career talk organized by the career development department. We just need to see where the mails are coming, where is the department is. Look into um, the bulletin board, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
nowadays it's all virtual, but still you can go and see where the things are, because it's a new university, new place you want to go and explore, right? And then of course there sometimes the university organize the job fair, right? Go and do networking, right? And they're also depending on which community you live, such as whether it's a community in Burnaby or Vancouver or Victoria versus St. John's, Newfoundland. There might be smaller companies, sometimes they do open house, right? So take the opportunity, go down, meet some persons, and the whole purpose is to take the advantage of any networking event that you can see within or outside your university. Don't take it lightly, because any networking opportunity, you don't know what that network opportunity will bring it for you. Be open, be humble, listen to the people, share, understand their mindset, appreciate their time if you are talking to them. That's the option. There are a lot of options to go and take the opportunity and make those connections, and those connections will be helpful. Of course, conference is another one. If you are publishing or in a research-based program, definitely try to check with your supervisor or how you can attend the conferences and make those connections there. And to be honest, just to add one thing, when I'm saying the Stantec job, that Stantec job
Mhm.
initially offered for a senior engineer. Okay, but I reached out to one of my connection who was my PhD external examiner. who was director for Secret that time, but he was an ex-Stantec senior employee. So I reached out to that person. I said, I saw an opening. It's for senior, but you are my PhD examiner. Would you mind if you share my resume to them? Right. So he shared the resume. He opened the door for me. So that's a networking. And then rest of the things with me, and I met those people and things like that. They changed that title later on because although it takes some time, few months, but at the end of the day, long story short, they changed the title. They hired me under the same post, but reduced the thing to a like a probably intermediate or best fit with
Mm-hmm.
my levels at that time. So any networking opportunity, you never know which might be helpful for you. Probably 5 days, 50 days, 5 years. So it's a good thing to
Great.
do.
No. Yeah, networking can definitely open doors, and we appreciate that advice of not focusing only in what's in front of you. Of course, that is important too, but also looking around and really making effort to participate in those opportunities, right? Our next
Absolutely.
question for you is what inspired your shift from academic research to an industry role, and how did you decide it was the right time? Do you stay connected to academia following graduation, and is this important? A lot of questions on one.
Yeah, I know this is a little bit of heavy question, and the answer could vary from people to people. I can only share my perspective. What was one of the key criteria? So, see, for sure, we came to a country, we do a study, we invest that much money and time and efforts of our life, probably 18 years, 20 years, or 25 years of our life to get some rate of return, right? And that rate of return is in the form of monetary most of the cases, but at the same time, additional components added as we move forward in our life. So money, but it's not the
Mhm.
only money, to be honest. Is the gap in knowledge. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves an honest question to get an honest answer. What does it mean? It means like everybody is doing when they're doing a PhD or master's, they're doing their best. They're doing their best in terms of whether they're doing a numerical modeling or physical centrifuge modeling or any kind of analytical approach or something they're doing for that project of master's or research or PhD. They're doing their best, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, eventually they need to be honest to themselves, ask some self question. Do I have enough knowledge or do I have gap of knowledge? And I want to fill up those gaps. Do I have the recipe or particles or stuffs to fill up the gaps? If not, what are the options that I have to fill up those gaps? And for me, that answer was I need to go to the industry to fill up those gaps, right? Just to also important, like sometimes we face this barrier because, say, for example, for me, when I was doing finishing PhDs and going to the working for Stantec, sometimes people might thought, oh, you have a PhD, how much time you should go to the field, even behind the drill rig, right? That might
Mhm.
be sometimes a ego question, or a, again, ask yourself that honest opinion: is it a gap for you to fill up, right? So I see that opportunity at that way because you need to go to the site, the practice that you are in. We need to be on site to kind of make our boat dirty. We need some handling experience because it's geotechnical engineering. You need to have the feelings. If you don't have the feelings, it's only a few equations. It doesn't work, right? You should have that feelings of things that you are seeing on site. So I just want to add in one example, like even here, when you are thinking that that the change, um, um, you should see that this is an opportunity to learn. Even if you get an opportunity to have a site visit, which you have never done, and options there to take a senior engineer or expertise with you, you should be jumping into the, raise your hand that I'm that person, I'll be willing to go, because that is the best opportunity to go with someone on site who knows, experienced, and give you the hands-in experience. And that was happened to me when even in my first drilling site, like, like my that time supervisor or manager was with me and staying there and show me those small things, which was I was not too much familiar to. I was fine, technically sound, but not those things that in terms of equipment, rigs, and local stuff, safety policies, that's all important. Because at the end of the day, it is not only one thing that make you a success. You need to think about that all 11 players in the team or all the different equipments that runs on the site makes your job successfully done, right? And stay connected to the academic following graduations. See, it's also a desire, and it's a desire depends on every people is different, right? There is an opportunity to because geotechnical engineering, it's so vast. There are so much things are happening around, so much subdisciplines are involved. Sometimes, depending on your short-term goal and long-term goal, what you want to achieve, you need to ask yourself what you want to achieve. And if you see that there is a gap, and are you attending any kind of seminar or those professional development things which can fill up those gaps? And if you feel that it might be requirement to do a short course in the university or engaging with the supervisors and ongoing innovation work or R&D works in your company might help, then why not? Right? So it might take extra time for you. It might not be that 8 hours of typical job window that you typically think about in a consulting work. It might need extra hours, but it is depend on that specific person, how that person is seeing himself or herself in the next level. So for me, I'm still a little bit connected with the universities because I have as I said, as you said, probably I mentored multiple students. I have one PhD student graduated, co-supervised, and then few master students. So I'm still involved a little bit, but it takes also time. I love to get involved with our innovations and things, and WSP side, we have a lot of emphasis on that. So I'm part of that too. So I used to be with the innovations part of the Stantec team too. So basically, there are a little bit of interesting part that I love to do. So that's why I'm involved. But again, the answer will be depends on every person's desire is different. Short-term goal, long-term goal, achievement, satisfaction. So hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. I love the mindset of filling the gaps, like being honest with yourself within what is that you know and that you don't know. And depending where you want to be, you got to look to fill up those gaps, right? So I love this mindset. Thank you.
Great. Great.
We
Yeah.
have a question in the chat that it's very similar to a question submitted previously from the audience. So I'm going to read it out loud now. So do you think the industry is ready to accept candidates with research background into industry roles? I have had difficulty lately because some companies say that my research roles put me higher than the junior roles they are offering, but not quite enough for an intermediate position. Hence, they end up not considering our application for either. So what are your thoughts on that? Kind of polemical question.
Yeah, it's a little bit of political questions, but also it's a very heavy questions that, I can share a little bit of insight like on that. Probably people might relate. There is no direct answer on that, but yes, I agree with your questions. There are difficulties. There are difficulties. There are challenges because, say, for example, a team lead when trying to hire a person, he or she is thinking about, I need this guy to do these investigations. And when I'm bringing a guy to do these investigations, if he has an undergrad degree, he's okay to go and spend and things like that, be on site and finishing those things and slowly going to the career development. Whereas if I hire a master's or PhD degree holder on that specific requirement, now that person ambitious level is different, right? And the barrier, right? The person wants higher things, but the team lead wants him to send to the field. So there is a gap of expectation and understanding and those things. And those things are always challenging things, which creates a problem even getting an interview, right? So now what what I thought and what I have the experience on this. Say, for example, if I go back to my Stantec example, so when I have that 15K difference on salary, I reached out to the supervisor that hiring. I said, hey, XYZ, whoever that person, I have the another offer from here. And do you think that, do I really deserve this? Because this looks like more a junior level kind of things, right? And his point is, see, yeah, you have a PhD, you have really nicely feel good to talk to you. And we appreciate that you want to join and work with us, but we don't know how you're going to behave in a team environment. We don't know how you're going to communicate with our client, with our colleagues, and how your soft skill will be in an environment of a corporate culture, right? So those are term heavy questions, and the answer is yes, I don't know, right? So I have to acknowledge and put myself a little bit down because he's right, and I want to take the opportunity instead and show him and prove him that here you go, I'm here, I did these things, so if I join the opportunity to the company, I'll get the opportunity to prove you that I am the right person that you're thinking about, right? So his point was that this is the last offer for me. There is no change, although it's a junior level salary, but join in or not, it's up to you. So I don't like to close the door. I want to go ahead and prove it that, no, I'm the right person. And then when it's going to the gap is, say, for example, now that person wants to send me a place on top of the glacier, staying in the helicopter and staying in a campsite, which is not pure a PhD job. There's not too much technical to involve with. Now, are you the person saying, oh, I have a PhD, I don't like to go there, right? So,
Yeah.
or you want to take the opportunity to say, hey, I don't care whether PhD, masters, or undergrad. This is a cool opportunity. I want to see how the things are done in a challenging, harsh environment where I can be flying on top of glacier with a helicopter, right? Because you are showing them that, yeah, you are showing them that you are more cooperative and more inclusive in a more inclusive environment, that you are there to help. Rather, you are creating your communications, not direct way, but indirect way, showing some obstacle and telling them that no, you know. So these things will also sometimes make a difference, that the offerings and the considerations, how it goes. And definitely, I understand the point that many companies say that you have that much research, that much. So that's where you can put them a little bit, be open, and also educate them what you're bringing on the table. Rather than saying that, no, I am a research, so I'm only going to only do the design, only doing the analysis. I'm not open to go to the site. I'm not open to go to a heavy construction site with a big rig on -30 environment. I'm not there, right? But when we are offering that you are more inclusive to their team member and be open to be fitting into those critical environment and challenging things, they will be more open to a little bit of adjust the things. That was my experience, to be honest. So, and also when you are doing the networking, again, go back to the networking part, you are not only going to sell yourself in terms of what exactly you can do. You need to be open to, those soft skill questions, and instead of presenting too much, you also need to be a more into listening mode, that where their requirements are, and are you able to fill up those gaps, and are you that person to offering them what you're bringing on the table, right? Because this is a common psychological kind of thinking level, that somebody has a PhD, they only want to do analysis, design, right? Modeling, or inside in front of the computer doing numerical modeling all the time, right?
That will be the standard assumption of any employer hiring manager, right?
Right, exactly. And that's where we need to be out. It might require a little bit of education on both sides, but this is where we are in. And sometimes when my team lead and things comes and to me, I try to educate them this way, that no, this is not the requirement will be. You should be sitting down with that candidate and see where that person want to do. What is the new thing he's bringing on the table? Is he or she is open to take a little bit of challenges in terms of not doing the textbook solution, right?
Mhm.
Is that something that help? I tried my best, but not sure. But yeah,
Yes, it does. Thank you, Rajib. It's a really well-rounded question and help anyone that has this insecurities of feeling overqualified for a job. So this for sure gives us some directions on how to tailor our applications, how to position ourselves better in interviews or networking to achieve industry roles, even with advanced degrees. We appreciate it.
yeah, no, that for sure, yeah. So, what was your next
And
question? So I missed that part.
yeah, of course. Next question. So, early on in your career, did you discover anything unexpected when you transitioned from academia to industry?
Yeah, the question back to you: is there anything smooth in our life that goes on, right? But see,
Early.
it's our mindset. Like we always have an expectation of everything going smooth, right? But that never happens. When you came to this country, this is nothing smooth. The settlement was not smooth. The academic environment was not smooth. Sometimes the relationship between the supervisor and the student is not smooth. Um, it could be family life, it could be personal life. It's not smooth. And then we should not expect that nothing unexpected can happen because there should be something ups and downs in the industry versus academia because we are two different people. The manager who is working in the industry for probably 15 years versus a person who is coming fresh, next generation. uh, it's a two different mindset, two different entity, two different thought level, right? So now how the chemistry works, it's also an expectation that what I am bringing on my mind. So who is more in the if I put it this way, like it's a trade between giving versus receiving, right? So giving versus receiving, whether I'm a go giver or I'm a go getter, that's the first thing we need to answer in our mind, right? Because if you
Mhm.
have a go giving mentality and also in terms of open mindset of learning the things, all those hiccups, you'll find a way that how you can work towards it. Say, for example, the standard example that I gave, like I was working on a mega project which was in sitting on Labrador, right? So there's a big construction site, Labrador, minus temperature. Um, we are working for contractor engineers in live construction site, and we have geotech for the contractor, right? And they have issues with the soft sensitive clays. Now, am I seeing it's an opportunity? Although I haven't been behind the rigs on this kind of situations, or I should take it as an like as a
Mhm.
unexpected situation, or I should take it and tell my supervisor that I am the person you can rely on. I'll take this as a challenge,
Mm.
right? So I want to be more into go giving mindset that no, I'm giving you more options so that you can rely on so that all those unexpected things, because what is those definition of unexpected things? Unexpected things could be that, oh, I expect that he should be solving this problem. Rather than I'm now offering him a solution. So then what he's or she is going to tell me? That this guy is more open to give. He might not know everything, but he's more into
Mhm.
the learning mode. He is more open to the giving offer solution or giving mentality. And we want to make sure that this person can be trained, or you can ask for training and like ask for help, because sometimes often forget that there is a help button, right? You can
Yes.
ask for help, and that's also probably an important part of the mentorship things probably will come. I don't know you have but this is another things, the mentorship things which can help, and these mentorship things cannot be within your it can be within your university, it can be within your industry that you work on, it can be outside your industry. But it's important to have a mentor in life, not in work, so that
Mm.
you can overcome those hiccup or unexpected situations to overcome and provide a solution. So long story short, solution seeker versus a solution provider versus whether are you the person that always have a fear when the problem comes to you. So overcoming the fear, with a more like a solution or go-giving mindset might help.
Great. We gotta learn to be flexible to kind of expect the unexpected, right? Be ready for it and embrace it and have a goal-getting attitude towards it. I like that.
Right. Right.
Here a question that came from the audience, but it was also on our prepared questions is what specific skills acquired during your academic research proved most valuable in your current role? And are there any academic habits that you had to adjust to succeed in industry roles?
Yeah, that's a very very important questions because see, as you are growing up, if we think about our life cycle, as you are growing up, finishing our 12th grade, then going to university, then going to the industry, aren't we changing ourselves and getting used to it, new habits? It could be habits of learning, whatever the things that you have done in terms of your skills in 12th grade versus your university versus your industry is all different, right? So all I'm saying that it's a continuous process of skill development, and it's a never-ending process. And it goes back to, again, to a term called, I'm not sure people are aware of, called self-talk. So self-talk means you're talking to yourself honestly that what skills I have yesterday and what skills do I need tomorrow to solve this problem, to solve this task, right? So when I'm coming from research background, we are kind of working in a silo, in a box, just in front of computer, only communicating with supervisors, only communicating with the same language oriented people. That's it, done. And enjoying parties and things like that. But when you're coming to industry, all of a sudden somebody told you to talk to a client, right? So you have that self-ask question, self-talk question. So this is a barrier I have. What I have to do. Of course, some of the skills are important. Our communications is the key thing. Anything we do in our life or industry or in solutions, if we don't communicate, there is a problem. Do you agree? So even in your personal life, think about you have a son or you have wife, girlfriend, or fiance. If you don't communicate that you are going there, then there is a conflict because you didn't communicate, right? So that is the first and most important skill to develop. And when I'm saying communications, communications in any form. It could be verbal, it could be writing, it could be communications to client, how to share information, how much you should share information. There are information sharing, how much it should be there, importance also there, right? Then communicating with your co-workers, right? Communicating with your clients, co-workers, external, internal, your colleagues, your peers, other industry people, it's all important. And you have the mindset that everywhere I go, if I see that, if I have the open mindset, everywhere I go, I'll go with a big open-ended bucket so that anything different, which I don't know, it comes towards me and attracted to that bucket. Right? The way I see it, so that you are always open, you are always learning, because there is no, you need to be always humble. Because if I feel that I knows everything, then there is no way you close to your bucket. Right? So although many people knows, I have seen that many people are very experienced, but they are very humble when they're even communicating to a person who is probably 20 years younger. Because you might be learning something from them too. If you think about a lot of successful people like Bill Gates and all those other people, they're always humble and appreciative and always open to learn. So that should be our key too. Communications is the first thing I'll be talking about. But at the same time, when you're talking about habits, nothing can be developed in one day. Habits means any task that over time, a consistent basis, you have doing this thing consistently for years after years after years. So you need to ask ourselves, am I doing this consistently? Right? I am not good at it. Fine. But am I doing better tomorrow? Can I do better tomorrow? Can I do something, improve myself in next 5 months? Now to do that, what is my plan? Do I need to read few more books? Do I need to go for a probably a communications workshop? Or do I need to go for a writing skills a talk seminar? And I'm taking action. Do I taking action after that? So these are all steps so that I can see myself that I'm moving from point A to point B. See, the another thing I find, like in our these habit building and skills building things, who am I competing with? What is your competition?
Mhm.
What is your competition, Leo?
Important to keep that in mind. Yeah.
My
Um,
competition is always with myself. How I
oh,
can become
okay.
a better person tomorrow? How I can, when I teach my son that from now on to end of the month, you need to tell me what new things you learn. It might be a small, tiny thing,
Mhm.
right? So that means you are in a growing mode. You are in a growth mode. You are consistently
Expanding.
developing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are consistently developing some good habits. You are constantly developing those skills, right? So those are important things, not only important for the career, also for life, because life and career go parallelly. Cannot skip one with other.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And takeaways, communication, being honest with yourself, and yeah, being open-minded. We have a few more questions here. I will start with this one that should be short from Raul in the Q&A field. Pleasure to hear from you. I relive my PhD journey through you. What should be the ideal length for industrial CV?
So that's a very small, short questions, but it is also in depth. So see, when you go for the CVs, what is the intention of that CV? Who will be the receiver of that CV? What kind of messages you want to communicate, right? So if you're an EIT just getting out from the fresh, you might not have enough experience. So you want to focus your best thing within a page or two, not more than that, because you don't have enough to add still at that point, right? But when you are experienced enough, now you are somebody told you to put a CV on hydropower dam. Now you are putting a 4 page of CV on hydropower dam only, right? So we need to think about what you are offering through that CV, who is the audience, what value I am sharing through my CV. That will determine the length of the CV, unless there is a predetermined number. For mostly, it's a 1 or 2 page when it talks about a very high level career transition during, master's, PhDs kind of things.
Thank you, Rajib. Next question. How can young professionals successfully navigate the differences between academic and industry studies? Any cheat code or something for us to learn how to navigate those differences?
Yeah, first of all, to be honest, is there any shortcut? Because I have seen nowadays a lot of young generations and people want to bypass the thing, cutting the corners, right? To be honest, it's just my sharing. I'm not anybody's toast, but there is no shortcut recipe for being successful in life. You need to do your work, hardworking mindset and mentality on a consistent basis. That's you have to do. And also, some of the recipes that I have applied over the period of times that mentorship. So you need to be keen enough to find someone who you feel that you can connect and share your stuffs in terms of your, it could be within your company, it could be outside your company. Doesn't matter. But I want to make sure that you meet with your mentor not in a virtual Zoom. At least sometimes once in a year, face to face. So you probably, if you are living in Vancouver, find out someone from Vancouver, or you can find someone from Kingston or in say Toronto. At least if you meet that person beforehand, so that there is some connection built up, right? And mentorship is key, to be honest. And when you're having the mentorships, you are going to drive the bus. you have to be open enough to set up your goals. So you have to have the goal setting meetings, and not only the goal settings, how you are tracking your goals. You might have a goal for 4 years, but in 4 years you haven't achieved it. You cannot trace a goal in 4 years, right? You should have the goals, smaller segments for, it could be 3 months, 6 months. And are you tracking that baby steps?
The SMART goals, right?
Yes. Are you making, there is a book called Atomic Habits, small, tiny change in a shorter period of time, rather than chasing a big elephant, right? Which is very difficult and you'll be frustrated because it's not achievable sometimes, or you couldn't achieve it. But you'll be more happy and more, grateful and be happy when you are having a tiny goals and you are setting a realistic time frame and you are achieving it and you have a proper communications with your mentor. You might have multiple mentors, right? You might have a mentor in their work. You might have a mentor outside your work. It's key. Are you listening to yourself? Right? What is your next demand? What is your next move that you want to see? And again, it aligns with your goal setting. But are you listening to yourself that to achieve that, what are the gaps you need to fill up? Do you have any gaps? Identifying the gaps, also important. You might not see your blind spot all the time. So you need to rely on someone to tell you what is your blind spot before you're fixing the blind spot. Right? And that's key. And sometimes we don't see that way. But these are some of the recipes, and then also the habit building activities. It could be, again, those skills building activities, like any skills, if you feel that I need to improve on it, or even in the career things, like even on a topic, say, for example, you have to be focusing on, say, slope stability analysis and seepage analysis. So if you want to be taking that as an action on your plate, are you doing anything beyond your regular activities to improve on that section? Right? And that's on you. Nobody's going to chase you. It's on you. Right? And that's called the goal building activities or habit building activities. Are you open to change? Right? Many times we are kind of coming with a fixed mindset that what I know, I know. Right? Instead of going for an argument, am I open to listen? Am I open to do the extra work, which I don't not require, but I'm doing it for myself? It might be helping, might not be helping, but at least it will give me a satisfaction that I tried and do these things. And I can share with my mentor and someone that I have done these actions or these activities towards this thing. Right? And are you that person taking an extra step rather than what you have been told to do, only those, defined steps? So that's all belongs to that recipe for goes to success principle. And these recipes is not only for, I was a little bit of in general here, but that applies for your any activities in life, any activities in your work, any activities in your academic or industry, doesn't matter. When you are offering so much value to a team in terms of that piece of information which nobody knows, you are the person who went beyond extra and gathered the informations, whether it's a literature review or something, and share it to your group that, hey, this is the topics we talked last time. I took some extra time to find out this, and here's the summary I want to present to the team. Nobody told you to do that, but you are taking extra step.
Being proactive, right?
Proactive, yes.
Great. I think also that mentors are such a valuable resource for progressing and helping navigate. There's nothing better than learning from experience and someone that has been gone through the same or similar situations that you're going through now. Appreciate the answer.
Yeah, no problem.
So now we have time for a last question, and I'll read it something from the audience. For someone who transitioned directly from undergraduate studies to completing a master's and Ph.D. without prior professional experience, what skills should they emphasize on their CV? And how do companies perceive individuals with strong research background but limited engineering experience?
Yeah, see, again, that's a little bit of tougher side of the question because everybody need to start from point A, right? Whoever we are telling today, an industry expert, that person when he started, he or she, they started from point zero, right? They have an undergrad degree. Many people go for undergrad degree and then directly to the industry, right? In Canada, we know that there are a lot of co-op which helps people to transition, bringing that industry and academic together, right? That's what the government policies and many universities does. Uh, it's not always needed that you need to go for masters and PhDs in general, but in our field, in the field of geotechnical engineering, sometimes depending on what area of portions you are handling in your day-to-day life and which direction you want to go. Say, for example, you want to be expert in the mine waste field versus hydropower dam field, or could be a landslide. So then you need some extra work. And if you show that you are the person, sometimes the industry comes forward. I know a lot of companies that also help a undergrad students who join them in a team 5 years down the road. He wants to or she wants to do a master's. I know personally people who have done it and industry supported because you feel that you want to be expert on that specific field and you need more than average. And that's where you're transitioning into you're bringing your professional experience, 5 years of experience, but then you're also going towards a little bit of doing a master's, right? And then bringing that information to your field and your company, as long as they're seeing a value that you have a goal-oriented value which can add value to the team and the company, they are going to willingly to appreciate your effort and help you to do that. I have seen people done it. It's not a one or two examples. There, I saw people in Stantec, I saw people in BGC, I saw people in WSP, I saw people in other places, SECO. I've seen people done it like came as undergrad students, had few years of experience, and then go to their additional degrees because they feel that this is important for their skill development. That skill could be a technical skills on that specific expertise area. Could be a tailings failure on certain conditions. Could be a hydropower dam scenario on the seismic conditions. Could be something on a landslide. Could be something in permafrost, right? So the companies, based on your last question, I think it was the strong. What was the last line of your question? Like,
how do companies perceive individuals with strong research background but limited engineering experience?
so as I said, like we when you are offering something, how you're offering, how you're presenting ourselves, that's also important. Because everybody is not, the company is also not expecting that everybody knows everything when they're coming on the table. We have a limitation of knowledge, we have a limitation of time that we pursue, but are you open to that person who want to do extra than the average? So that is a big question to ask ourselves, am I that person? Right? Because there is no easy answer for that. But if I know that here is my strength, here is my strongest part of the site, how I can improve that and present it to a nicer way to a platform, whether it's a hiring manager or companies or whatever, then at the same time, if there is any lack or gap that I mentioned a few times, am I also taking actions to fill up those gaps slowly? Because it will take some time, right? And when someone is seeing that you are more proactive, more doing these things, they will be also with you, helping you to grow. Hope that
That
answers the
makes
question.
sense. Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Dr. Day. This concludes our webinar for today. We really appreciate your knowledge being transferred to us and you accepting to be part of this webinar. So some concluding remarks. Thanks for everyone who participated, sending your questions. And for those who are interested in learning more about CGS YP committee, there are resources we offer. Please visit our LinkedIn group page. I'm gonna type here in the chat the name for you guys to participate. And yeah, lastly, we hope you found this webinar informative. Stay tuned for our upcoming webinars in this non-technical development series. Thank you all for attending, and we wish you all the best for your continued professional development journey.
And also, I would like to thank CGSYP for inviting me for these things. And I hope that the audience and the questions that was answered was kind of shedding some lights and will be helpful. But I'll be more than happy to help. I'm always available in LinkedIn, and you'll be feel free to reach out to me if you have any your questions and things. And I'll be more than happy to, with our limited time and efforts, if anything I can help, I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you.
Great. We appreciate your availability. Thank you, Rajib. Thanks, everyone.